everyone into this amazing Magnetic Abundance podcast. This week, I have got Juliette Stapleton. I want to tell you a quick backstory. So I have learned about human design for a couple of years. And then in recent months, human design comes back again into my space, my energetic environment. And so someone else passed me her link. And so I decided to get her to do me a report because she's an expert in online visibility in marketing for human design. So I wanted her to come and share with you all about human design from a marketing perspective because of her background. So welcome, Juliette.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn. It's such a pleasure. First of all, it's been a pleasure to know you through your chart and doing that report. This is something that I really found my calling, all these years doing online visibility, marketing, and then really wondering why some things, like I would have a client who I would say, okay, you know what, you need to do it this way and this way and this way. And they go and do it and it's working and they're, making a lot of money and, everything is growing, huge groups. And when I try to do exactly the same things, nothing. I just get this pushback, just rejection, or I feel so bad about doing it. And I believe that we know deep down sometimes when we're doing something out of alignment, out of integrity, even for ourselves, it all depends, So when I came across human design, and it was only 2.5 years ago, and it's kind of like your story. It's like blew my mind, and then it went away somewhere or something, like it just kind of was dormant, and then it came back. And when it came back, I knew that this is my mission. This is my mission to open doors, and this is why it explains everything. It explains why we are the way we are, but it also explains why we are the way we are in marketing and online visibility. And when we show up, when we say something, what makes it magnetic? It's nothing logical. It's really something that, it's against all traditional strategies sometimes for some people, and so it's very scary. It's a scary experiment to trust your design and slow down until you can actually process and ramp it up again. But I swear, even my own business, I have never felt so much ease and attracting people who you don't have to nurture them. You don't have to bend backwards, and convince them that this is a good thing for them to do. It's the most important thing is that they just Google you. People Google me and they find me, or somebody recommends. There is this real true magnetism that started, but it only started to work that way when I really leaned into the energy levels and my angles and what feels so natural to me. And that's why, when I worked with, say, a report for you, seeing this in somebody's design and saying, okay, you know what, you have this playful, like you are the game, your life is all, you might not wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to play with today? That's not how it works, but you are going to bump into life. So how can you make the most of it? How can you make it attractive? And so then, you can start, then all the experience with, online visibility, content marketing, creation, like messaging, everything then aligns. And it's just such a beautiful journey.
I like that. This podcast name is Magnetic Abundance. So I'd like to hear your perspective. How do you define magnetic abundance?
Oh, I love that. So one thing is magnetic is really about you. I believe that it's when you find that core in you, that's when you become magnetic. So you don't need, it's not about, trying to guess what they want. It really is about trying to be whole within yourself. So that's the magnetic. And the abundance, it's such a beautiful word. I absolutely love it because, it could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. It could be financial abundance. It could be, it could be just being happy, waking up and where you are, the environment that you're in. And I'm an expert on this. I'm an expert on what doesn't work because I lived in 20 years of my life. I lived in a place that was not aligned with me. When I woke up, I was not happy. When I was seeking out some things that I could enjoy, they were just not there. And, that whole experience of understanding how alignment, how correctness is important important. And that's abundance, when you find that what's correct for you, what's aligned with you, so you can feel gratitude, that you don't have to do it like in a forced way. It's just there, and you see it, and you relax into this ease, which makes you magnetic, right? And more things come into your world. That's beautiful.
Now, see, the difference that you have explained is powerful. And I want to point out that you also come as a projected profile.
Yes.
So tell
Yeah.
us, you've explained a lot about the magnetism behind it, the strategy, and the attraction content. Tell us from a projector's profile perspective, how does content marketing work for us in our profile? Because we're very different from reflector, from generator, manifestor, I think.
Yes, you know what? Yes, projectors are a very, very different type. It's only evolved much later in the human evolution. We're only around for about 300 years. And it's really the role. It's really to understand the role of a projector. And also then it makes sense that everything else also makes sense. So we live just a little bit of a background before I start answering the actual question, right? We live in the world where majority of people are generators. Manifesting generators is a subtype. So generators are, they have an ability to create, to build. I don't mean creative as in like writing. I mean to, have babies. They're all about actually multiplying. This is like, if you think about the evolution, the cell, and how the cell breaks into more cells, and then it creates, and all of us then are eventually created because of that process, and this is a real generator sort of a role to be. So they have the access to the life force energy. Obviously they have to be aligned, but they have that access. If they love something, they do, and they create, and they're all about doing. I just had a conversation with a manifesting generator this morning, and I said to her something about me getting bored every night, and she says, how can you get bored? I don't understand this. I've never been bored in my life, but she's always do. She's like juggler, with all these balls, and she just doesn't have this thing. But projector is a completely different type. So it's, if generators, they have this access to life force. I imagine this is like an ocean that you have access. The ocean is connected to all water. The ocean underneath the Earth's core or the Earth's surface, it has connection to it. So it's always going to have water. But projectors were basins. You put the water in it, then that's it. You need to wait until like more water drips into it before you can again give. And this is something to understand about us, because we're here not to create or do. We're here actually to guide. And our success, which is the feeling of alignment, when we're seen, when we're recognized by someone, it comes from guiding the other. Because of our aura, which is focused on the other. So you probably heard how they say projectors see into the other. The way we do it is because our aura is kind of cone focused on the G center of the other. And we intuitively sense the direction that they need to go. That's why we're so good at systems and creating efficient. We can see what's like, okay, this is the better way for you, better direction. And it just happens naturally. And when that other person is open to us, and generators, they get very frustrated without guidance, because one thing that they're lacking is that they don't know the direction. Most of, like, this is the specifics of that. They sometimes get stuck, and they get like really stubborn. They want that direction, and with this direction they can do and create and do so much. But for us, when somebody sees us, and it's for the specific, and for each projector it will be a very different thing, but it has to be that thing when you really feel that, oh my God, I just made an impact in this person's life. And
Yes.
It makes you feel so good. And because of that, you feel abundant. And because of that, you feel like that energizes you. But you could be with another person who also like thinks that you're brilliant, but they don't see you for actually what you feel like That's the thing. They're just like missing the point. And it's very sad because, then you just end up exhausted working or dealing with people like that. It's so interesting. But the projector, the magnetism in the projector is to shine their light. So like a lighthouse, so these people who are looking for guidance can come in and they can see your light, your specific light, and say, please lead me to the shore. I'm so confused. I don't know what the safe way. And you say, okay, yeah, so let's just move you. And you just see it. I have on my shelf here, I have this ornament, and it's like a crystal with a helix type of thingy around it. But it's like my third eye. I always say, this is my third eye. I don't know how I know. I don't even know that I know, but it just happens. And so in our marketing, for example, we can't we can't juggle a lot of balls. We are basins, we don't have a much capacity. And what happens is that when we are creative, we tend to give it all, like completely everything.
Yeah.
And then we crash because we don't know when to stop, because we're conditioned to think that we can go, like, go get, but it's not, you give that. We're here to tweak. I remember when I moved to Estonia 3 years ago, I met this, I always joke that she's my only Estonian friend, another coach. We met, and I moved in the middle of pandemic, so there was no social life at all. And we met in a coffee shop, and she was saying, all the chats I have with my clients, it's not even like client calls, I just tweak. And it's stuck in my head because that's just something that projectors do. We tweak, but it's just it just clicks into place. In our marketing, though, we can express what we're very, very passionate about, because when we're in our zone, that's where we become magnetic. When I create content, if I say, okay, look, I have to post something on Facebook, and I create that something in quote marks, right? And it doesn't have energetic backup at all. But if I feel strongly about something, it doesn't have to be about my business. If I feel strongly about something, oh my God, the response when I write something in that zone, it's brilliant. It's all about, and so for me as a projector, it was a journey of letting go of you have to be visible because you have to be visible. And I used to be called the queen of visibility. I was always very consistent. I'm still consistent, but I have tricks up my sleeve now, so I don't have to create this. You can be consistent by posting sometimes testimonials from your clients, and that feels that day. So you can still be very, very consistent and visible, but you're only creating content when you are into it, when you're there for it.
Yes.
And then you repurpose it, because I had clients coming into enrolling into my private intensive after a year, after a post I've written last year. I was really energetically aligned with writing this post, and then it's in the system that it gets reposted, right? A year later, bam, another client from that post, another client. I don't have to do anything, because we're not here as projectors to do anything. We're here to be. That's why we have to rest and recharge, because we are here to be. In the being, we are able to guide others, and that's all we're here to do. And that's so interesting. This is so interesting. And of course, let's just talk about the fact that a projector is never always a projector, because there could be a daily transit, planetary transit that activates our sacral, and all of a sudden we're a generator. We could be making a connection with another person that again activates, our sacral. And so all of a sudden when we're with this person, we turn into a generator. It's good and bad, because, the good thing is that I find that sometimes even my body starts responding, but I have to always say, this is not my strategy. I know it wants to respond because but it's not my strategy. I'm a splenic projector. It's the spleen. It's a different type of knowing. It's not, mechanical, like the sacral is like all this flowing through your body. We have different way. Even when we have some tingles and things like that, still different thing. And it's just knowing. You know what? It's a borrowed energy. It's a borrowed thing. Some days I'm a manifesting generator. I could be like writing content, cleaning my apartment, doing something else, and I'm like, why am I like this? Check the transit. Yeah, I'm an MG today, but I will be later on. It's all borrowed, and I need to rest. So what I've learned, and this was the scariest part in my business, is that I need to slow down. I need to let go of this feeling that, oh, I am unproductive, because there's a reason. Something underneath in subconscious is brewing, is clearing, is letting go, and also building the creativity. And then there's a burst. Then you do so much in a little time, and
Yes.
it's all of great quality. And if you don't rest, and if you don't allow yourself just following your body and your authority, especially saying, yes, do this, or no, don't do this. If you don't follow this, then you end up kind of pushing and pushing. And so you're just exhausted, and you're not creating the stuff that is of quality. That's the problem. Trying to
Yes.
push yourself.
You mentioned something earlier about traditional marketing. And of course, traditional marketing doesn't work in our profile, but also we need to recognize what they are. So can you expand a bit on the traditional marketing and how we need to let go of that? Because sometimes we've been taught, right, for years, for decades and decades, that's the only way, right? All sorts of marketing strategies, marketing gurus that write books about it, all the coaches. And there's very, very few projector leaders who can write good marketing guidance, information, or tips to help us. So I like your perspective on that.
I love this. Well, first of all, let's just start with the fact that human design is a concept that sort of surfaced only 30 years ago, so it's or just about more than that. So this is something that is traditionally, or just as a society, is a new thing. And it's also about telling us that it's all about us. It's not about them, it's about you, which goes against to what traditionally marketing is. Marketing is like, who is your audience? Focus on your audience, find out their pain points, and then create something that will fill their gap. And you sometimes your inner and that outer can match, of course, and also not everyone is practicing or experimenting and living in their design. Living in your design, which in human design is called non-self, that doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. That doesn't mean that. But my question is that at what price? At what price internally are you going to be successful? How many stories do we know of these super successful people who create these big businesses and then they just completely burn out, have to walk away from what they're doing?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I also actually just recently, I think it was Karen Corey Parker, who is she was the quantum human design creator. I am not myself much a big follower, not in a negative way. It's just that I have my own thing. And so I saw her saying that she went on a hiking trip, and the most active person, the one that did like everything and she's an MG, right? So he was a projector, and she was saying that he's a projector and he's built a really, really successful business, but he is not living in his projector self. This was business created from the non-self. So yes, it's possible, of course. That's why even if we find out, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V is a projector. So you can create a very, very, but think about how he's doing that. He is talking, he is guiding. It's all about personal branding. Personal branding, attraction marketing is such amazing way, but you have to have patience. I remember it was the biggest impact with Gary V's story for me was when I read his blog article, and he said for a year and a half, I did these videos, when he was tasting wine in the beginning, and nobody watched them. There was like no views. Something happened sometime, and 1.5 years to do something and not getting any response from that, it's hard. So you have to have patience. I think that human design gives us like a shortcut with this, and letting go, and we have to remember that what traditionally the society says, it's not necessarily created for, and it's not just about projectors. So for example, human design profiles are so important, especially in marketing. That's what makes you magnetic, because that gives you the angle of how to frame the content that people will find relatable. And you see, for example, if you have a line 5 in your profile, then you can tell others what to do. You can. Now there's still a lot of buts because you have to really understand. That's a very tricky line, right? You have to really understand it and not overpromise or not get seduced with your magnetic energy and then think you are a savior and try and fix people. There's a lot of buts. But when you are healthy about it, you can, tell people what to do. And it works, right? So in a way, traditional way of marketing, like giving value and giving everything, it's like tell people what to do, give them the solution, give them the steps. And that's a real line 5 type of marketing. Whereas for me, for example, I'm a 1-3, both of the lines are in the lower trigram of the hexagram, and they're all about personal karma. So for me to serve others, I need to be introspective. I am the most self-absorbed of the profiles, so when I talk about myself, my unique perspectives, my story, what I've discovered, and I also have this, because of my motivation is fear, which is not a fear as in I'm afraid of things, but it's like needing to know the bottom line. I have such a great inbuilt BS monitor. I know when it's fluff. That's why I'm so anti-traditional. I'm like, guys, 99% of what you're saying is fluff that doesn't work, because it's just, and you see uneducated people or people who don't understand marketing and they don't understand their own energetics. They just want shortcuts. They just want, fast things. They think that there's a magic way that will work. And so we're buying into these programs and gurus who are so magnetic. They're so polished. They're so beautiful. And you're like, I want to be like that. Why am I not like that? And you're forgetting that we are all different. And we're forgetting that everyone is unique. We all you are a splenic projector, I'm a splenic projector, but we're so different because we have different profile, different, our conscious sun, our, main kind of like purpose in life is different. All these planets, influence is different. And so, of course, everyone is so unique. You have to find your own way, because then you will be so much in your power. When you're in your power, you're walking on clouds, you are invincible. You can do everything you want, even a projector, it doesn't matter. But you have to find the wholeness. So that's what the difference between human design approach and traditional marketing is. This it's like, no, there's no template, there's no magic bullet, there is no like this. And especially the scariest one, run away when somebody says this is what worked for me, and you're like, yeah, are you my clone? If you're I've done so many programs and I've learned so much when people were like, this is what worked for me. And I'd be feeling inside and I'd be like, I can't do this. I'd be messaging, I can't do this.
And also no. That they're like, you know what? Follow these 7 steps. That is how I do it. In fact, you know what? 5 times that, because that's how I got results. That's the results I demonstrate. And then I went to do that and I'm like, oh my God, it was just really eating in all my energy. And I'm like, why can't you do it like I do it? Like, it's almost like you're not teachable or you're not coachable. And I'm like, no, it's a difference between the energies type, because I'm
totally,
not you.
yes.
And that is where the light bulb moments come in. And so how powerful it is, for our audience, maybe to give us a quick wrap up summary, where people can find you, how do they work with you, and where is the best way to catch more of your content?
That is so awesome. May I just say one thing before I go into my own thing, just real quick, just based on what you just said and what I was saying. Don't hold it against those coaches who tell you to do things the way that it worked. It worked for them. It worked for them, and they're perfect in the way they do it, because we tend to get bitter, and I know that from personal experience, right? Really bitter about this. But let go of that, because they maybe don't know about these differences, and they genuinely believe that's the way to do it. But so if you want to find out more, if you want to do your report, come to JulietteStapleton.com and we'll take it from there. There's a free course, tiny course, 2 videos available as well, and it's all about aligned visibility with human design. I don't go deep into human design because it's much more about self-discovery, and for marketing you just need to tweak. We talked about tweak a couple of things, and so I do this in-depth report about those couple of things, that then if you allow yourself to slowly but surely implement this and be scared and implement this, you will see the magic happen. So JulietteStapleton.com is the best place.
Awesome. Well, you know what? You have answered so many questions even before I asked them. So thank you so much because you covered topics like, traditional marketing versus your own understanding of who you are in a human design profile. You talk about the art of really letting go because all of us had already, hired and worked with people that may have certain ways of working that really, really get some results, but it's not the kind of profile that suits us. And then you talk about, how to implement the attraction strategy. You talk about a lot to do with understanding who you are as a projector, because projector is probably the latest profile that came into the whole scope of things, if I can categorize it that way. So I hope that this gives everyone who's listening to this podcast or watch this YouTube a good taste of what human design, and especially coming from a projector, what it's look like, and that it will empower you to go and discover more about who you are, to learn more about, what is available out there. And if you've never heard about human design before, this is your introductory. And I hope that you will get to know Juliette a lot more. Follow, her on social media. And thank you so much again, Juliette. I really appreciate all your insights here. And I hope that, in future you come back and talk more to us about human design. So bye for now.